Hi, my name's Tania Thomas. I'm a spiritual medium and an intuitive life coach. People often ask me when I first discovered that I had a connection with the world of spirit. I was 9 years old and it was with the family dog. His name was Shane. Great big sable collie and the love of my life at that point. I was asleep. It was the middle of the night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I suddenly felt pressure to wake up and to get out of bed. And I did follow through on that, just intuitively got up out of the bed and walked over to the window. And as I looked out of the window, I noticed that Shane was standing on the opposite side of the highway looking up at me. And I remember having this sudden feeling of fear. And, oh my goodness, he's on the other side of the road, and if a car comes, he's going to be hit. So I took off running down the stairs of the house and came around the kitchen and ran right into my mother, who was standing in the kitchen. And I did say to her, I've got to go outside. Shane's outside. He's going to get run over. And I remember my mother looking at me with this mixture of kind of confusion and sympathy at the same time. And it was at that point that she made me aware of the fact that he had already been run over and that his physical life had actually ended at that point. My dad was actually burying him outside under the willow tree just underneath of my bedroom window. I got up, went back to bed. I was fine with that, perfectly fine. And I think it was a case of, at that point, I had a clear-cut understanding that life does continue. And even though he wasn't going to be there when I got up in the morning, he was there with me in a spiritual sense. I kind of took this whole, I don't want to call it a thought process, but this whole belief system of mine, and I took it into my career. And at the age of 18, I went into nursing on a full-time basis, starting with palliative care nursing and kind of moving around from there. And it was always such a beautiful thing to be with people when they made that transition over into the world of spirit. Beautiful thing to witness on so many, many levels. What I found very difficult for me was that we had the family to deal with afterwards, and you're dealing with the grieving family, and they're struggling with this, especially when there's young people that are kind of attached to this. And I couldn't express to them that I had just witnessed something absolutely beautiful. I couldn't express to them that grandma just came in and grandma just took her with her and she's going to a beautiful place. And I found that very difficult. In 2005, after about 20 years of nursing, the universe, as I like to put it, kind of steered me in a different direction. I really didn't have a big option in going in that direction. They put it out there in front of me, and it was just a case of, I'm going to blindly follow this and see where it leads me. And it led me into what I do now as a full-time, I don't want to call it a profession, a full-time passion is the best way that I can put this. So I've been doing readings on a full-time basis since 2006. People will ask me all the time, how do you do this? How does it work? And I haven't got a clue. I couldn't tell you how it works. It's like me walking into a room full of people in the physical sense, in the human sense, and I walk into a party and you're all there and we're conversing back and forth, but I've also got Uncle Fred over on the right of me, or I've got Uncle Joe on the left of me, and they're conversing with me at the same time. So the one thing with spirit is that they get it, even if they didn't get it in the physical sense. It's kind of comical, really, that very often I'll get somebody who didn't believe in this sort of stuff before they passed over, and they'll get over, and all of a sudden they're making a connection with me, and it's like, hey, this is really kind of cool. And so they get it. They get how it works, and that's why it's such a natural thing with me. It's such a beautiful, wonderful, loving thing with me to be able to do this. People that are left behind, as I like to put it, so those here in the physical, those such as yourself, you're coming into me and you're seeking something, you're looking for something, you're looking for some answers, you're looking for direction, and you're kind of looking to get confirmation that there is still that connection. And all you really have to do before you come in to see me is just put a thought up there to that spirit that you need to make that connection with that person. I don't necessarily like to call them spirit because they do go on. So if you're thinking about, I want to put a thought up to my aunt or a thought up to my mother or my sister or something like that, just think about their name and think about a happy time and something that would make you smile. And they're right there just like that. And they can connect with me just like that. So it all relies on you. It's not relying on me. I'm just merely the telephone here. I'm just the connector between the two of you. You know, I would love to say that your spirit loved one wants to come in and spend the afternoon having coffee with me, but it's not like that at all. Who they want to connect with is you. So a little bit of the work actually comes from your end of things as opposed to mine. I'm just merely the one that kind of pulls it together as we move through the session. I'll get very many people come in and say, oh my goodness, is it safe? Is it okay if we do this? are we allowed to do this? You know, are we going into some place that's really, really kind of scary? And there's nothing more natural in the world than what we're doing. There's nothing that's more natural to spirit, more natural to the physical. It's just like going over to your mom's house, sitting down, pulling up a chair and having a cup of coffee. It doesn't make any difference. This is exactly how it works. I always put a thought up to the universe prior to your coming, prior to our connecting, that we're only going to work with the highest and the best of spirit always. My messaging is always very, very positive. I will never allow negative messaging to come through. So I just won't get it. So there just won't be anything negative that comes through because I just won't accept it. I get emails from people that I've worked with before expressing to me their thanks. And I always say to them, don't thank me. It's beautiful that they do, and I love that. I do. I love that they thank me, but don't thank me for that. Thank your loved ones for that, because without them, I couldn't do what I'm doing. So without them being willing to be open with me and be willing to chat with me, I couldn't bring them across to you. So always put the thought out and thank them first. It's the most important thing. The benefits that people here in the physical will get from a session with me is that you've got this knowledge that despite the fact that they're not physically here with you now, they're still continuing to grow. They're still continuing to learn. They're still continuing to create. And they're still continuing to go along your journey with you. When you have a session with me, my main intent is that when you do leave that session, that you leave with a smile on your face. You leave with a sense that you're surrounded with love. And you leave with a sense that you just had a nice 1-hour chat with one of your best friends. The thing that I love about the work that I do is that not only do I get to connect to you, and not only do I kind of forge a friendship with you, I also get to make a friendship with those that are in spirit, your loved ones. And I think that's wonderful because they're fun and they're vibrant. And they're so very, very present. And it's so beautiful for me to be able to bring that across to you. So I don't just make one friend at that point. I make dozens of friends. And I mean, what better place to be? And what a better job to have than being able to bring that forward.